Hey guys, it's me and Mom. This is our coffee talk. We're doing our coffee talk video. We have 6 subscribers. Thank you, 6 subscribers. I'm very, very pleased that you subscribe to me and Mom's channel. Okay, so I can't find a good place to put the camera. What we were going to talk about today was all the stuff we take.
All the stuff we take?
Yeah. All the stuff we take, but
Oh, you mean the vitamins and stuff?
yeah. So how do I do this? All right, so what if I go like this? All right, now, first of all, I just made a fun granola mix for Mom out of this Trader Joe's coconut cranberry granola. No, I didn't bake it myself at home. And dark chocolate multi-grain clusters by Kind. And I love granolas every now and then, and especially chocolate-covered ones. And I always wanted to create the Power Chocolate granola mix and the Power Chocolate breakfast cookie. And the Power Chocolate granola mix is nuts and chocolate, Power Chocolates, which have seeds in them, and, clusters, and also things that are made of Crispies, because I like light things, Crispies. So anyway, that's one of my goals. So I can still pull that off one day. Anyway, so, okay, look, how do we do this? It's hard to know where to put the camera exactly.
How about right there?
I could put it up here. Would that work? So anyways, guys, we're really happy that some people got onto our channel. That's very exciting. I just don't like the lighting in certain places, so I could put it here. Let's see how this works. Uh-oh, where'd you go? Come back, come back. Okay. Smile, you're on candid camera. Okay, so I could maybe sit here. All right. We have these blueberries out on the table. This is our pink Himalayan sea salt. And we eat a ton of that, along with, we put extra light olive oil on top of everything. I get extra light tasting oil because I don't like strong olive oil. I hate my hair, but whatever. Anyways, I do hate my hair right now. Now, Mom takes all these things from standard process that we got from Dr. Gable.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of them, Neurotrophin, PMG. And she also takes calcium lactate. And this is a company that makes everything from bovine. So I think that's cows, right? Bovine cows.
Cows, yeah.
Yeah, bovine is cows. And she also takes Cardio Plus because of her heart. These are like food. They're not medication, really. They're supportive supplements that's more like food, because you can actually, have you taken yours today? You can literally, look, you can bite this. It's not, and then it doesn't taste great, but it doesn't taste terrible, but it is, you can chew it, and it's food. It's really actual food, but now I gotta wash it down. Oh my God. Why did I do that? It's not that bad. But the point is, it's not like something that has to release into your body after it goes down into your digestive system, surrounded by some plastic coating that your body may or may not digest. I'm really bummed about my neck. Anyway. Mom also takes, and that's not the only thing she takes. I got her this Active Mind, but I don't know, really it's just caffeine. She also takes tinctures. And this is one of them, hypertension drops. This is all prescribed by Dr. Gable. This is from Professional Formulas. These are all tinctures, and they're really powerful. They work great. Better than drugs and medications from the pharmaceutical company and the doctor. I don't believe in all these drugs. Mom and I have the same opinion about the doctor, don't we? We don't trust the doctor just because they're the doctor. In fact, we distrust the doctor because they're a doctor. Although we try to be nice about it. But both of us, with our Rh negative blood, do understand that the medical profession seems like it's working for humanity's benefit, but it's actually using humanity as an experiment and for body parts and blood and DNA. And we are an experiment. The medical profession will use humans of all ages, shapes, and sizes, including babies and the elderly. They will use us as guinea pigs to test out their drugs. That's a fact. So we decided to go with the alternative route, and look how well you're doing.
Right.
Really, I think you're doing pretty well.
I'm doing very well.
Yeah. How well are you doing? Yeah, you're not in pain.
No, I have no pain.
Yeah, you're so lucky, man. I have a lot of pain.
You do? That's too bad.
Yeah, but not right now. Right now I'm okay. You don't have.
It comes and goes.
I have pain that comes and goes. It's awful. I'm always dealing with it. For some reason, I took on all the pain. So Mom takes urinary tract drops because sometimes people are prone to urinary tract infections, and this helps. This helps. And she takes it she's supposed to take it 3 times a day. She even asked for this one time when she ran out. I was happy about that. Also, she takes cerebral blood stim drops. Now, blood, because her blood needs stim. So she takes these cerebral, which is the brain, blood stim drops. So this is probably for the memory, the dementia, or, And so that's one of the solutions that she tested Mom for using kinesiology for her brain blood stimulation. So, but I mean, we are using, these are made from, first of all, cerebral blood stim drops. What's in here? How do we find out what's in here? How do I read this? Oh my goodness, everything's tiny. Indications: homeopathic support for promoting circulatory to the brain after stroke or injury. Oh, you did have some mild strokes, little mini ones. So it's for post-stroke brain function. That's good. Ingredients: ginkgo, something biloba, 3x, something. Okay, these are herbs and things, and so maybe this is plant-based. I have to really get my glasses on. I wish I didn't look so terrible. This is why I don't make videos all the time. Somebody was saying, well, why don't you make more videos? And if Mom and I could make our living making videos, we would make videos every day, wouldn't we? Yeah. Okay, we got extra of the urinary tract drops. Now I am taking Simplex F, whatever that is. And also, this is the best one, Mammary, PMG. And when I started taking this, my breasts got better. And really? I mean, actually got better.
Wow.
Yeah, and you don't have to take these things constantly. You can just take them, when you need them. And Mammary, I'll tell you, I did, because I've got breast issues, and this helped me a lot. And then I also take Neurotrophin, and then I also take Cataplex ACP, and that's got nutrition for everything. The other really good things I take are my tinctures are hypothalamus adrenal pituitary drops. And yes, we do need also the support we can get on Planet Prison. Hysteria drops for when I get hysterical. She said, don't get upset by the name Hysteria drops. I'm like, no, that makes sense. That's okay. I need hysteria drops. I get hysterical. I have a problem. anti-inflammatory drops, which really do help with your inflammation if you have arthritis. This is actually very extremely beneficial. And also, where's the pain drops?
That one.
Then this is silver. Colloidal silver, sovereign silver, bioactive silver hydrosol, immune support. I bought this in drops, and I also got a spray because everybody was getting sick in my world. Mom and I were okay.
Mm-hmm.
You're pretty good. No, you did have this weird sinus infection at one time, but you didn't even feel it. It was the weirdest thing. It's funny how you don't feel pain. But anyways, I bought this because my daughter's boyfriend was getting sick, and my other daughter was getting sick, and I think I was worried about getting sick, and I saw, I think I saw Sarah talk about this silver and how she uses silver, and I never really got into the whole silver thing, but then I saw these two and they were on sale, so I tried them. I think it's probably good. Hard to say. This is what really, I also take, she made me a private rescue remedy solution. But you can get Rescue Remedy at any, and you need, and I'm supposed to take Rescue Remedy every day, like 4 times a day. 4 times a day, I know. I always thought it was for emergencies. Now, when I was in a month of pain, I called her naphthalinium. Naphthalinum. That's interesting because there was a person named Naphtali. That's a character in the Bible.
Oh, really?
Yeah, now here's this thing, Naphthalinum. Interesting.
Wow.
Yeah. So this stuff is for detoxifying chemicals from my body. Now, remember what I was saying? I had those Rogaine shots in my hips because of my Rh negative blood. They make you take these shots, which I think are actually bullshit. But this is another excuse to give Rh negative people shots of something. I'm against it now. Don't do it. Because what they do is they put extra heavy metals and mercury and all this extra, preservatives and things that are bad for you or bad for people with Rh negative blood and probably bad for humans in general. And they give you these shots with these extra ingredients. And then your body has to deal with those extra ingredients. And I think that's what I've been detoxing and why I've had so much pain in my hips, crippling pain. So I called her up and she did a healing on me, and she sent me this, which is to help my body detox from chemicals, which is a really big reason why I have all this pain all the time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then this one is it's called AR, acute stress, which I was having.
Yep.
I'm better now. I think I'm more relaxed now.
Yeah, you are. You're much better.
You think so?
Mm-hmm.
This one is for viruses. These are great, these detoxode things. And all they are is you pour a capful. Actually, the one I need is not this virus one. The one I need is the chemicals. Well, see, I feel better now. This stuff works. It works. I feel better. Honestly, Dr. Gable did an energetic healing on me, and I felt better right away. And then she sent me all this stuff, and it kept on with the healing. And then she sent me these. This is called pollution in air, and this was for helping my family cope with the fires, the pollution from the fires.
Wow.
Ugh. I need a facelift. So, this is a sample of the stuff that we take. Here's the box of that silver colloidal stuff. Here's the box. I kept it because I wanted to show you. And it's easier to read on the box what's in it. But be safe, think absorption, stay positive, embrace purity. Anyway, these tiny little letters are hard for me to read. It's really unfortunate because I like to, when I make my stuff, I put big letters so you can really read it. So this is what Mom and I take every day. And then, she was getting these chronic UTI infections, which, eventually will kill you if you don't take care of it. But you can take antibiotics for them. But then you've got to deal with the whole antibiotic side effect thing. So some doctors want to put you on antibiotics every single day, and they call it a prophylactic. But Mom was on one of those, and it got her really, really sick. We ended up in the ER. Do you remember that? You probably don't remember that. You're good at forgetting things you don't like the memory of.
That's true.
Yeah. Remember that time we went to the ER?
Yeah, I remember that.
You were sick.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah,
that.
it's hard to forget that.
Yeah, I remember going.
To the hospital
Mm-hmm.
in Belfast.
Mm-hmm.
What do you remember about it?
I just remember being there. You know, it wasn't for very long.
Right. Yeah, they basically hydrated you. Well, you were dehydrated. And then your body was rejecting all those antibiotics that doctor prescribed. And then at the ER, the new doctor said, "Get off the antibiotics, take a break."
Yeah.
Let her body, which I was so happy to hear that advice finally, because I was following the doctor. We were doing doctor's orders by giving you these antibiotics.
Mm-hmm.
And
but he said to get off of them.
Well, because you were on Bactrim, and that's known to make your stomach upset, and your stomach did get upset because first the doctor said go on it for 5 days. So I was like, okay, 5 days, that's better than 10 days. So that makes more sense. It's over quicker. I don't believe you need to take these antibiotics on and on and on. I think you only need to take them for 2 to 3 days, really. If it kills the thing, and then you get off of them and let your body rebuild. Because every time you take antibiotics, you then have to take all this acidophilus and bifidus to rebuild all of the good flora in your intestines that the antibiotics destroyed, right? So, but if you only take antibiotics for 2 or 3 days, it kills the bacteria, and so that was the mistake, was staying on them too long. And that's the mistake they all make. So he says 5 days. I go to pick up the prescription, and the nurse says it's 10 days. She gives me enough for 10. I said, well, the doctor said 5 days. She goes, no, right here it says 10 days. And I'm like, I just heard him say that. So then here I am arguing with the nurse. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to, just gotta go. I'll grab him and do whatever. So then I did have you on them for the 7th day. I kept you on him. I shouldn't have done that. I should have done the 5 days, and not followed the nurse. I should have followed what the doctor said. And so instead you're on there 7 days, because he said we can also use this as a prophylactic. Well, that was really actually bad advice. That the next 2 doctors both said was bad advice, because Bactrim is really hard on the stomach, and your body rejected it. It threw up for an hour and a half. Yeah, and they had seen that before. They weren't even surprised. As soon as they heard Bactrim and antibiotics, they knew exactly what was wrong. And they thought as long as you stopped taking antibiotics and got rehydrated, your brain was going to come. You were out of it too. He goes, she'll be fine, and she can fly tomorrow. I was shocked because I thought you were dying and I had to cancel the whole thing. I had no idea. How am I supposed to know? I had no idea. You were throwing up for an hour and a half. It was like, take her to the emergency room, And it was those antibiotics. And the doctor prescribed that, and that was he shouldn't have done that. And so I followed the new doctor, the ER doctor, who said take a break from them. And then you've been having all the acidophilus, and I've been giving you yogurts. And now you're so much better. You're so much better. And these medications, these antibiotics are only good if it's life or death, and then you get off of them. You don't stay on these things. This is the problem with our culture, is we stay on something that one bite can solve your chocolate need. You don't need to eat 10 candy bars. It's like we just need small amounts of these things. We don't need to overdo it. Just because one small amount of something does our body good does not mean we need to do it every single day or 10 million times a day. Then it becomes toxic. Right? So we learned a lot from that experience. Mm-hmm. Now I know that I'm not giving you antibiotics unless you absolutely desperately need them, and only for 2 to 3 days. And it's bullshit that you need to stay on them forever. That's where we go wrong. See? And these doctors think they're doing you a favor, but they're not. They mean well, but they're making mistakes. And we can't trust these other humans who went to medical school. God knows what they really studied or learned. We don't know. I don't know what they teach in medical school. So far, I'm not all that impressed. I hate to say that. I mean, the surgeons are obviously pretty good. I'm not a surgeon, but I can heal a cold faster than some doctor. I definitely can do that with natural medicine, natural energy medicine, herbs and tinctures and garlic and chicken soup. You do have to.
Wow.
You do have to kill a chicken to get chicken soup, though, don't you?
Yeah, you do.
That's what makes me feel bad. So I'm trying to get off of this animals, but see, I'm mixed, because eating animals is actually gives you strength. This stuff is made from cows and pigs. We eat meat, So I feel like I'm a little hypocritical. I don't mean to be hypocritical, but I'm trying to be healthy by taking these supplements, which are only achieved by killing cows. Now, maybe the cows don't mind being killed and being used for food if you treat them nicely the whole time. That's what Barbara Marciniak says.
Really?
Yeah, she says if you're nice to the animals and you give them a good quality of life, they're happy to be there to provide warmth and food for you.
Wow.
They don't mind it. Everything dies. So maybe they think that as long as you feed them well and you love them and they're out in the field in the warm sun on their grassy lawn and some little kids are out there petting them now and then and whatever, taking their milk or whatever, then they eventually are used for food because they're going to die anyway. Maybe they don't mind feeding the family that was nice to them. I mean, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what the Vietnamese do. They have that little, some Vietnamese, I think it's Vietnam, they have these little towns where they raise this little pig and it turns into like the family pet. It eats all the scraps and it lives in the house, in the hut, this little pig that turns into quite a good sized pig. And then they pet it and they feed it and they love it and then they eventually kill it. Like after 10 years, they have it for a while, maybe 5 years, I don't know, 3 to 5 years. And then they eat it. They ate the meat that they raised.
Right.
You know, so if you're putting love into the meat, as opposed to traumatizing the meat or something,
right.
Eating fear-based meat because the meat was killed in a violent way. I don't know how they kill animals, you know what I mean? I'm sure that when you're running around chasing a chicken in the old days, that thing was terrified and, you know, those hormones are in the meat. But if you had an animal that was lovingly treated its whole life and ate nice, calming, good, healthy grass its whole life and was in the nice, warm sun and had good care, maybe it had good energy in it, and then when it came time for slaughter, maybe you let it die and rot out on the field, or maybe you kill it and eat it, but you maybe did it with compassion or you did it lovingly or painlessly as you could or whatever, and then you're eating that well-loved meat because that animal, it's weird to think of it, but it's another way to think about it. You know what I mean? You would normally never eat a pet you loved ever, right. But then maybe that's okay if it was an agreement.
Mm-hmm.
And it was normal.
Right.
Right? To some people that could be normal. I don't know.
Right.
I know. I mean, people have shepherds, they have farms with sheep and they eat them. They kill animals. We do it all the time. You know? But, I mean, I'm having issues with killing animals now because I feel like we shouldn't be doing it anymore. I think that if we're going to kill animals and eat animals, then maybe we have less of an argument to stop other species from killing and eating us. If we're eating other animals, we have no argument right. to stop other species from eating us. And we are also a food source for other beings. Other beings, we're a food source too. Think of how tasty and good and nutritious we are.
I guess
right? If you eat really high quality food your whole life, you don't think that body would be high quality? Make a nice steak for somebody.
So.
I mean, it's gruesome to think about, but maybe if we make jokes about it, it will lighten the bill. Because it's actually a real thing. It is a real thing, and it's not a lie. They've been selling humans of all ages, shapes, and sizes on the black market for a long time, secretly, where humans don't know about it.
Wow.
The CIA.
Wow.
Kate told. Yeah, that's true. That is true.
They're killing human beings and we're
They
eating
sell the other. Well, I'm not saying humans eat humans. I'm saying other species eat humans.
Oh,
I know it's hard to believe there's other species out there, but there are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Would you? You know, I think that humanity would have a hard time, even though. Okay, it's one thing to see aliens in a movie.
Yeah.
If we saw an alien in real life, I think we'd probably be freaked out. Don't you?
Yeah.
I mean,
because we don't believe in them.
Right.
But maybe they're not. They don't exist anyway.
Yeah, maybe not. But what if we found out they did exist? What would we handle it well, or would we freak?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I have no idea what we would do.
You know, like what if you know, you were at a table with the heads of all these different species and you had to negotiate terms. Like, Or what if you were at a high school? You know, you have different kinds of humans. You got black humans, white humans, Asian humans,
Yeah.
Middle Eastern humans, or whatever. Different humans, but they're all humans,
Right.
right?
Right.
But what if we saw something with a like reptile face or a cat face?
Oh.
We'd freak, wouldn't we?
Yeah, we would.
See, I don't think we can handle that.
Well, I don't think that exists.
Well, maybe not, but I don't think that we're the only species in the universe.
No.
I don't think we control everything. I think there's definitely higher species than us, but it's hard to...
Another species than
Yeah,
us?
yeah.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
not us.
Yeah, I know, right? Isn't that hard to imagine?
Yeah, it is.
Why is that? Remember when we used to watch Star Trek?
Yeah,
But that's a fantasy, right?
you're right.
But what if it isn't? Well, where did they get the idea for all of that? Just out of the blue? I
Well,
mean, isn't it possible?
mhm,
You know?
yeah.
I mean, honestly, I think humans might be able to handle anything because we are so adaptable. That's our special power, is that we adapt.
Mhm.
We freak out, but then we can cope. But then we cope. You know? We may flip out over stuff, but we actually will rise to, overall, I'd say humans rise to the occasion and deal with it and do something about it. That's what's special about us. Even though we're flawed and our brains have been manipulated and mostly taken out or disconnected, you know, we're not even working at 100% capacity, and we're still amazing. You know, we're very messed up, but we can still, I do believe that humans will rise to the occasion and
Mhm.
protect themselves, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
Yeah, we're pretty good at protecting ourselves.
Yeah, yeah, right?
Mhm.
And fending for ourselves,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm. Mhm.
I mean,
Mhm. Yeah.
we fended for ourselves. I don't know. Maybe we had help. Did we have help?
Maybe.
So, well, this video is probably long enough. One thing I do want to talk about, oh wow, it's so long, is I want to turn this. I want to talk about, is it going to make a noise? Does that make a noise? Is RAIN, because REIGN, because I got an email from someone who was saying RAIN is terrible and you shouldn't watch it, and it's just stupid, and it's just for dumb romantics who just want to see pretty actors and pretty costumes and pretty scenery. Yeah, she was this British woman. The Brits are very hung up on their language. If they don't think you're speaking it correctly, they get all up in arms about that. They're very...
They think it's not being spoken correctly on the show.
One woman said that. Also, they're not all British in that show. They're French. The courts are French, English, and Scottish. And so English and Scottish are more similar languages. French is definitely French.
Yes.
It is not English at all. It's French.
Right.
Totally different language.
That's right.
And so is Spain, speaking Spanish, and Germany, speaking German, and all these castles and all of these kingdoms and all of these courts had their own languages, and then they had these French ambassadors and the English ambassador who could learn the other languages and go and speak for each other. But this woman was saying, and thank you for your email, even though I felt like she was like practically attacking me for liking RAIN. I'm like, I love RAIN. I'm not watching RAIN to hear the best accent of the time by Queen Elizabeth. She's a side character. She's a main character in the history of this planet, of this world. She's still, allegedly alive. But I watched that show for Mary Queen of Scots and the history of not just Queen Elizabeth. She doesn't even come in until halfway through or more. It's really about Mary Queen of Scots. And yes, it's romantic, but it's done beautifully. So it appeals to the romantic inside of me, which is still alive. I thought I'd gotten rid of it, but it's still there. Only I used to feel a lot of pain around my romantic notions, and now I love watching RAIN because you can get into this romance. Maybe it's Harlequinish. One of my kids says that. The other two adore the show, thank God. Mom and I don't even want to watch anything else. Right?
Right.
What do you love about RAIN?
What do I love about it?
Yeah.
The story, the acting, those two things.
Yeah.
The story is good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The characters are very likable.
Mm-hmm, they are.
And beautiful. And okay, so they're beautiful. Are we supposed to not watch the show because they picked the most gorgeous array of actors in the universe? You've never found a collection of better looking men in one show than that show. The brother, Bothwell, Donnelly, all of them. I love them all. What's his name? Who's sort of the least cute, but not. He's very cute, and he's what's his name? Gideon. I love Gideon Blackburn. He is so soulful and sweet. I just love him. He's great. All those two queens must have had such a ball. All these gorgeous men. And of course the men are it's all about these two queens, you know? These two queens. The reason I like the story is because it's about three queens. Mary, Queen of Scots, Catherine de Medici, very powerful, Queen Mother of France, who's actually Italian. She's a Medici. She's from the top Medici family. They run the Vatican. I mean, basically, she's one of the main players in the history of the world, and she was poisoning everybody. She was a sorceress as well. I would call her a sorceress. They were all magicians in their own rights, and then they would also work with magicians. They only talk about that a little bit when they bring up the Book of the Goetia. I also love RAID because they talk about all these different things. They bring up vampires, the Goetia, which are demons from hell who are like who they really are. I think it's sort of like all these royalty. Really, the way they act, they're horrible. They every single one of them either plots to kill each other, poisons each other, falls in love with each other, uses each other. They all use each other, abuse and oh God, they all act very badly, but you end up loving them all. See, that's probably what the show does. They make you love these bad characters. See what I mean? That's a very typical Illuminati type thing, to make pleasure equals pain, you know, love people who are bad, you know. See, the thing is mind control in a way, but it's so beautifully done. See, so I have to applaud how beautifully done it is. It's very beautiful. And I think that I'm immune to mind control in a way. I think that I can look at it and see that it's mind control, and I'm sure I'm affected by it on some levels. These giant screen with these faces, and you're just staring into this giant screen, right, with these beautiful, and their faces, and you're right into the story, and they're life size. They're bigger than life size, right? If you sit down close to the television, you're practically in these castles, and you know these wardrobes and these beautiful the tapestries. I mean, it's visually gorgeous. The lighting is beautiful, right?
Yep.
I love that that you get to see the dynamics, at least one version, but we get to see three courts interact in that time period, the late 1500s, after King Henry VIII died. Mm-hmm. And he was a very important king. I want to do a whole video on him too, because he had so there's the Vatican, the Medici, the Italian sort of Spanish faction who set up the Vatican, and also probably the Templars come from there. Then you've got the French, you know, then you've got the Vatican who feeds all of these countries because they're all basically their offspring. That's what I believe. I think Daddy Vatican means that those priests are the fatherin of these, and that's why they feed them, these children, these spoiled royal brats who run these countries and fight with each other and try to take over. And then you've got King Henry VIII, this redhead from the redheaded Celtic line, the Rh negative. Although I feel like I'm still confused about the Rh negative thing. I don't understand it exactly. But anyways, he's this redhead who comes in and ends his relationship with the Vatican. Very ballsy thing to do, because everybody kowtowed to the Vatican back then and paid them tithes. Wow. Money was always flowing back to the Vatican.
Wow.
Yeah. And he stopped it. He said, you know what? I've got my own island here. I'm going to build my own boats. And I'm going to say no to you, Vatican, who tells me who to love and tells me who to marry and tells me how to live. And tells me
he's English.
Yeah, King Henry VIII is English, and I'm not saying he was good or bad. He was a mixture of things, but he definitely decided he did not want the Vatican, who everybody knew was corrupt back then. He didn't want his country feeding them anymore. Once he was getting rid of his Spanish bride of 23 years, who was pregnant 9 times and only ended up with one full-grown child that lived, and it was a girl, much to his dismay, because that chauvinism thing was just sickening. And it was so rampant back then. You had to be a boy, otherwise forget it. He probably knew he would be screwed if he was a woman. He had to be a male so he could be the king. He wanted to they jump into the soul of their son. The soul jumps into the body of they keep on going. He wanted a boy because he probably figured he was going to reincarnate and keep on going. And he didn't want to be a girl, God forbid, the weaker sex, So anyways, but he was the first one with the guts to end the relationship with the Vatican. He stopped doing the Catholic thing. He was the one who was the first one to put an end to giving money to the Vatican and supporting their evil ways. Everybody knew the Vatican was evil. They were afraid of them. They weren't giving money to the Vatican because they loved the Vatican. They gave money to the Vatican because they were terrified that the Vatican was going to send their crusaders out and destroy everybody if they didn't pay their tithe to the friggin' Vatican. That's the only reason Christianity grew, through violence from the Vatican. The most evil and oldest institution in the modern, since the last 2,000 years. That's all bad things start with the Vatican. Of modern, since the year 1200. After, AD, after death, after Christ.
Wow.
Yeah. They were known to be bad back then, and everybody's known they were bad, but then they tried to change things because they knew they were going to get raided. They were afraid of a French Revolution. When the French finally turned on the royalty and Marie Antoinette, and the French finally got sick of the rich French royalty spending all their money while the French starved. The French commoners starved, and they raided the castle, and they got rid of the king and the queen. And finally they had the balls to do that. And that's what should happen with the Vatican. And the Vatican was afraid that was going to happen. And that's why they tried to make the religion more palpable. And they changed their ways to try to make it so people wouldn't rebel against them. But they still needed to control them. But they had to do it carefully. The religion it's a control system.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
So they succeeded.
Yeah. But King Henry put a stop to it and came up with a new religion. He's like, you know what? I'm king. And Anne Boleyn found who's very bright, found some law in some book of laws that the Vatican had written. The Vatican, they were the brothers, that family of priests, who were maybe the Templars as well. They wrote the religions in Latin and the laws, the legal system.
In Latin?
Yeah. And then King Henry, and everybody was following these Latin laws. And then King Henry VIII, who wanted to cut ties with the Vatican and Spain and Rome, and have his own country do its own thing, because he realized that they could grow their own food and they could dig their own gold, I guess. And he knew how to he had ships. He could somehow he ended up working with the Phoenicians or something, who could build these ships. And when you had warships, then you were more likely to win the war. So he became more powerful by building these warships. And what he did was he raided the Catholic churches in his own English country, which was a Catholic country at first for a long time. When he decided to get rid of Catholicism out of his country of England, he sent his guys out to raid the Catholic churches, which were flooded with jewels, gems, and gold.
Wow.
And he took all that for the kingdom, for the crown.
Wow.
Yeah.
The English crown. Yeah,
he grabbed all the Catholic stuff from the Catholic churches that were set up in his country of England, which is an island.
Right.
And he instead of having these Catholic churches where these Catholic priests lived and held these masses,
Right.
keeping Catholicism going and collecting all this money from the people, the tithe,
Right.
he took all that money from those churches and took it for himself away from the churches. It was a big thing he did. It was a big rebellious act. It was a violent act too. He was violent about it. And he went and he took all the money from these churches and he built ships.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. He was badass. That was a very ballsy thing to do.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. He
Definitely.
took, yeah.
Who did this?
King Henry VIII.
King Henry VIII.
Yeah.
And he lived in England.
Yeah. England is his country. He's the father
Wow.
of Queen Elizabeth I.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Who survived. She's the one who won. She won. She won the throne. Because she had to compete with Mary, Queen of Scots for it. And Queen Elizabeth won. And this is
Wow.
what that reign is about. It's about the story of those two queens fighting for power. Both cutthroat, both brilliant, both could outwit each other, but Mary would win the hearts of people
Uh-huh.
more. She was prettier, for one thing. And all these men would fall in love with her. And she was something about her. I don't know. Maybe she had Rh negative blood. I don't know what that even means. It's from Mary Magdalene. I don't know. She was redheaded. See, these are redheaded cousins. Elizabeth I is a redhead. Mary Queen of Scots is a redhead. Or a strawberry blonde or brownish, whatever.
Wow.
Red. There's red in there.
Wow.
And green eyes.
Mhm.
That's the reptilian blood.
Wow.
I know.
Wow.
I know. It's very hard to imagine, but anyway, yeah. King Henry VIII had red hair. Queen Elizabeth has red hair. Mary Queen of Scots has red hair. They're all redheads.
Wow.
Scotland, Ireland, England. There's this redheaded thing.
Wow.
Redheads in there. Redheaded gene.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the redheads are connected to the redheaded pharaoh of Ramses. Ramses was redheaded. Ramses II, redheaded pharaoh. See, there were different pharaohs. Some were probably black, some were white, some were redheads. We don't really know, but I know that there was at least one or two redheaded pharaohs. Because that whole pharaoh thing went on and on and on. There were different pharaohs, and there was some redheaded ones, and his offspring ended up in England, Scotland, and Ireland.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Land of the pharaohs.
Wow.
Yeah. Also, there's connections to Atlantis. Oh, speaking of our Rh negative blood, Edgar Casey,
Yeah.
the famous psychic,
Yeah.
he said Rh negative blood people came from Atlantis. I've always felt connected to Atlantis. I always thought Atlantis was my place. And not that it was a great... there was a lot of bad things that happened in Atlantis. It obviously blew itself up. It was terrible. There was good and bad there, but that's what he says.
Huh.
Yeah.
Huh.
And that it's an ancient blood. It's older than...
Wow.
Well, it goes all the way back to Atlantis because some of those Atlanteans survived.
Right.
Some of them, when the thing sunk or the comet came or the flood happened or whatever happened,
Right.
it destroyed itself.
Right.
I think it destroyed itself as opposed to just a comet coming. But there could have been a comet too. Maybe, I don't know, one attracted the other. But anyway, some of them went underground and survived. A few survived and carried on. And
Wow.
some think that those people from Atlantis that survived ended up in England, Ireland, and Scotland.
Wow.
And there's this whole Celtic blue blood thing. So the Rh negative, it's a Celtic blue, it's Celtic, redheaded, and then French.
Wow.
So there's this French royalty Rh negative blood thing as well. But it's also in the American Indian. So
Wow.
they're another special bloodline. I know, it's very different, right? You got the red skin, the white skin, the super white skin, the redheaded white skin, there's white and then there's reddish white. That's
Right.
different, So those kings and queens of England and Scotland, I don't know why Ireland didn't get its own queen and king. I guess because the British kick their butts and own Ireland, so they don't get to have a king or queen. Seems unfair, doesn't it? Why doesn't Ireland get a king? I don't know that story really, but even though I don't think that Rain is telling the accurate picture, I think some of what it says is true, and it's still worth watching. It's just so beautifully directed. I do care about beautiful costumes and beautiful scenery, and I love the music. Sorry, and I love their voices, and I love their language. Anyway, I love Rain, so
Yeah. I like
sorry,
it.
I'm still a fan, right?
Yep.
You can't. Okay, the truth is, I can't even get Mom to watch a single other thing besides Rain. I put on something else, and she's like, "Where's our show? Where's our show?" I tried watching Stranger Things. Westworld. Did we try Westworld? Or the other one last night, the weird one, Wormwood. Anyway, we just don't want to see anything but Rain, right? We're like, no, I need to see my character. And we could watch the same episodes over and over. We keep watching it. It's all, to me, the show is divided between when Francis is in there and after Francis,
Right.
after the blonde King Francis.
Right.
Those are the two. And Mary
Right.
is all the way through all of it. And so is Catherine de Medici all the way through all of it. And then Queen Elizabeth comes later. But you see these men come and go. And you see how fickle she is in terms of she falls in love. I don't think she's fickle. I think she just falls in love with people. I think she's a beautiful, sexy girl. She's passionate. She feels love. She's scared. She feels fear. She feels love and fear and passion and all these things. And terrified of losing her crown. And she's also super ambitious. She gets pissed off when Lola dies. And then she's like, fuck you, I'm taking the crown. She's like, oh, maybe I'll marry Lord Gideon and have a nice little quiet life and let Queen Elizabeth have the crown. No one's going to let me have this crown. I'm obviously never going to survive this. I'll let Queen Elizabeth, because Queen Elizabeth tries to get her to abdicate her power. And Mary does agree to give her power up and let Queen Elizabeth be queen as long as her children get to have the crown. Mary was willing to give up her power a few times. But when she felt betrayed, she was like, fuck you, I'm fighting for this till the end. And she did decide to fight, and she did end up getting beheaded, but she did live till she was almost 40. Or, yeah.
And then she got beheaded?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. After she was sort of imprisoned in castle after castle, they were moving her around. Because Queen Elizabeth did not want to be responsible for Mary Queen of Scots' death. But in the end, she was. And then she tried to pretend she didn't realize it. But so there was different stories. Some say that Mary was accused of treason.
Right.
And that's why she was beheaded. And then there's another story that Queen Elizabeth didn't really know what she was signing when she signed the death warrant. She did it by accident. She wasn't looking. There's different stories. In the end, though, Mary Queen of Scots' son, firstborn son, who lives, never sees her, though, apparently. I mean, her life was very sad in the end. She suffered incredible amounts of pain and loss. For all the harm she caused, she also suffered incredibly, but her son ends up becoming king of both England and Scotland, and he ends up writing the English Bible, her son James.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Wow.
He's the one who transcribes from Latin into English, the English Bible for the English people.
Wow.
And that became the big Bible that everybody's hung up on.
Wow.
And he's the one who transcribed it. How do we know that he did a good job?
Right.
Right?
Right. Wow.
He's the famous James the First of England, or James the Sixth of Scotland. He's James the First of England, he's James the First of England, James the Sixth of Scotland, I think, because she names him after King James. Wait, there's James the Fifth. Actually, no, he's both the first and the sixth, but now I can't, because Mary Queen of Scots is the direct descendant of James the Fifth, King of England. King of England. I don't know how that happened, but because there's Henry. Is it James the Fifth or Henry the Fifth? Oh wait, her father is Henry the Fifth. Anyways, I'm confused about that. Somehow Mary Queen of Scots has a direct. She has a claim to the English throne as much as Elizabeth I does, and they both have a legitimate claim to the English throne. And Elizabeth really wants it bad because otherwise she's doomed. And she doesn't seem to want to get married and have kids. Mary does have a romantic heart and wouldn't mind giving up the throne for love at times in her life because she's a loveaholic. She's always in love with somebody, and somebody's always in love with her. So she's always having these love affairs. I mean, she tries to be, who knows what she was really like? I mean, this is just a show. We have no idea. I do think it does point out to, I think they have to be historically accurate to some degree. So probably a lot of the things are true, like she banned her brother and kicked him out of the kingdom. But this version makes it look like he did it for her out of love. See, this show makes it look like they're always doing these things out of love or to protect the one they love. Yeah. They do all these horrible, horrible things, but this show makes it look like they're all doing it because they love someone so much that they'll do anything. Wow. You know? Wow. But then they're all ambitious and they all want their throne. And then Mary learns to fight and become, Mary learns how to fight and she ends up having to fight herself. She's a badass queen. They're both badass queens, but they also will kill. They will kill. Queen Elizabeth will knock you right off your side of your head. One wrong word, you're gone. I mean, she stayed in power because she was ruthless, as well as she did earn the respect of all those lords. And, they have these privy councils and, all these are men. And here she is, this young queen. And, but I do think she earned their respect, but I also think she was a badass bitch from hell who would kill you. Maybe you could say she had to, but all these queens and kings, all they did was kill each other and kill to stay in power. And it's freaking brutal, horrible. They were all, every kingdom, every ruler was ruthless and manipulative. And that's what I learned from this, is how manipulative and ruthless all the kingdoms have been all along. And these people keep reincarnating and having kids. And that's why all these governments are still, to this day, abusive to their own people. There's very few governments that are not torturing their own people in some way on this planet. Wow. Wow. There's a lot of abuse to humanity. Wow. From these rulers. Wow. Yeah. And wars and, Yeah. Wow. And it all stems from these rulers that started the whole castle thing. Who started all of this, Right. Who empowered these kings and queens? The Vatican. Right. The Vatican gave everybody a castle and gave money to them to set up their little kingdoms. And then Henry's like, screw you. After a while, he played the game. He married a Spanish princess. She becomes his English queen, but the money is Spanish, which is tied to the Vatican, all Catholic. And Henry plays along with this Catholic thing. And then he falls in love with Anne Boleyn, who is secretly trying to get away from the Catholic Church, and justifiably so, because the Catholic Church is evil. See? Yeah. It's like, break away from this evil Catholic Church, but boy, are you going to pay a price. Right. Because they're going to come after you and kill you to force you to go back to them.
So what happens?
So he builds a strong enough army, and he builds all these boats, and he decides to believe in the new woman that he loves, who is not the Spanish queen that he married, who didn't give him a male heir, but this new hot babe named Anne Boleyn, who promises him a male heir if he just completely gets rid of his first queen and marries her. And he gets sucked into this, and he decides to go for it. But he also sees that if he gets away from the Vatican, then he can keep all his money in his own country. And then he's a sovereign country away from the Vatican. And then he builds up his own wealth on his own property, which is an island. And he's hard to invade unless you have ships. So he decides that as long as he builds ships that protect his island, and he can get away with not giving any more money to the Catholic Church, who won't let him marry who he wants to marry. He becomes very tyrannical. But I can't say I don't agree with him wanting to get away from the Catholic Church. I still wish everybody would get away from the Catholic Church. I'm still waiting for that to happen. I feel like there's some part of me that wanted to get away from the Catholic Church back then during that time. And I'm still waiting for it to happen. And I was probably thrilled to get rid of the Catholic Church. But then Protestantism. So the King of England, Henry VIII, started the Church of England. And I think he basically made himself the king of the church or whatever. I don't know. He got a little crazy with that. Not everybody wanted to follow. Not everybody wanted to give up Christ,
Right.
because it's all mixed up. You've got the Catholic Church saying they're into Christ, and you got the Protestants saying that they're into Christ in a different way. Everybody knew the priests were bad. I don't know why this got buried, but the priests managed to bury how bad their reputation. Their reputation was horrible, but they ruled by fear. And then, since then, the 1500s, 1600s, the Vatican has managed to turn the Catholic religion into something else, because eventually people will not be bullied into believing something. Humans will rise to the occasion and fight back. So they really had to work on the mind control to keep the money coming in.
Wow.
Yeah. You always knew the Catholic Church was bad. You always said that to me.
Like I knew what I was talking about.
You did know. But how did you know the Catholic Church was bad? Was it just an instinct?
I guess so, probably.
Because you used to say it. While you were reading about the Vietnam War and writing letters to the government saying to stop the war, in between all of that period of time, right. I remember you at the kitchen table with your newspaper reading all the news about all the horrors that were going on with the Vietnam War, especially. Right. Because in the 60s and 70s. Right. And you would say that the Catholic Church was bad. You always said that. You would say it for some reason. You mix it in there. Maybe the Catholic Church was involved in things, maybe. And somehow you wouldn't go on and on, but you always said that Catholic religion was a bad religion. Or that you did. You said, or the bad, yeah. That's how I learned it initially, and then I learned you were right. What do I know about the Catholic Church until I found out about it? And I'm like, you're right. Right. Somehow you knew that. I don't know how you knew. Was it an instinct or was it obvious? I mean, look, the Catholic Church has honestly had a terrible reputation
for a long time.
The priests did. Yeah, the Vatican did. They all felt like they were vampires, killing children and doing bad things. Right. And then somehow they managed to get their reputation to seem a lot better later on. But back then in the 1500s, a lot of people knew that the Catholic Church the Vatican was doing bad practices. Right. Yeah. They've been always bad. Right. It's just that they scare you into complying or ignoring it or looking away. Right. Or they guilt you into it. They terrorize you into it. They mind fuck you into it.
Right. Yeah, because they were in Italy. Yeah. And then they were in France.
Well, the Vatican's always been in Italy. Then it became its own city. Vatican City. So the Vatican is its own thing, but it's affecting the Catholic Church. It is the Catholic Church. The Vatican is the Catholic Church. But not Christianity as a whole, just the Catholic part. Okay. Just the Catholic part, which is different. Mm-hmm. It's its own thing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know what? I would like to see the Vatican become like a resort / cooking school.
How are you going to bring that about, Deborah?
Let us all create that the Vatican, the priests of the Vatican all disappear. They go on somewhere else. Not in my world. In my world, the Vatican, all those priests are taken away. All of the bad things they do are gone. All of the wealth is shared. Because why do they get it all? There's starving people all over this world, and they have hoarding all of the wealth, the gold and the jewels and the gems are all there in the Vatican, stuffed down there in their things, and they use it for power. And they bought that expensive telescope they call Lucifer. Look, the Catholic Church, not Christianity as a whole, but just the Catholic Church, they don't worship Christ. They deep down, secretly, they worship the negative feminine, some negative feminine Baphomet queen. Really? Yeah, secretly. That's the truth of that church. They want everyone to think they're believing in Jesus, but they don't. They don't. And like I said that time, you visited the Vatican one time, And when you came back, you said you were very surprised that there were no crucifixes anywhere on the walls. And you noticed it.
Right.
Yeah. So, because they don't really worship Jesus at the Vatican. They worship this negative feminine queen. Secretly. It's true.
Yeah, but the queens died.
No, a different queen.
A different queen.
Yeah, their own queen. They have this own negative, not Queen Elizabeth.
No.
No, she's England.
She's English.
This is Vatican City,
Right.
which is Rome, Roman, Italy.
Right.
And then Vatican City, it's its own thing. Its own city. And they do their own secret worshiping. And they're really demonic and satanic, actually. That's the truth of the matter. That's the ugly truth. And that's why I want to see the Vatican come crumbling down. But because it's got that whole building there and that whole city, maybe it should be used for something like a cooking school. Or dance parties.
But it's still there.
Maybe it should be, I know what, it should be an art center for artists to study the ancient works.
Right.
And learn the special cooking that, of course, the Italians know all about. I guess in the French, I don't know. I just want to see it not be a false satanic religion pretending to be Christian, taking everybody's money and building telescopes called Lucifer and drinking a hell of a lot of wine and taking all the money and the wealth on this planet. I object.
That's what's happening now.
Yeah, I object. If people talk about it enough, maybe those Italians will raid the Vatican. This is not okay for the Vatican to continue on like this. They're not good people.
Wow.
That's what I believe. From everything I've learned. From people on Opus Dei. Have you ever heard of Opus Dei?
No.
Well, Opus Dei, O-P-U-S is the first word, D-E-I.
O-P-U-S.
Yeah.
Opus Gay.
Day.
Gay.
Day.
Oh, day. Day. Opus Dei.
Yeah. Opus Dei.
So what about them?
Well, they're some kind of weird Catholic assassination thing or something.
Wow.
They're some dark, creepy thing. Opus Dei. Those guys they're the guys that self-flagellate. They beat themselves in the name of Jesus. It's just fucked up, man. Jesus would never have said do that.
No.
Never, ever would he tell you to hit yourself with a whip so that you could become more psychic.
They're still doing this? Wow.
Catholic Church. It's a Catholic thing.
Wow.
See what I mean?
Wow.
You know? I just think people are hoodwinked about this Catholic thing, and they should get out of it. They should get out of it and stop it. Stop it right now and go get their money back. I think they should go get their money back. I think every family that's given to the Vatican all these years should go get their money back. That's what I think. Go get your money back, people. Go get your money back. Go get your money back. Get your money back. All right, that's the end of our video. Big kiss. Love ya.